Okay, so thank you guys for joining. This is session number 2. Again, this is Fabio, CEO and founder of MenthorQ, and today we have also, again, Patrick. The goal of today's session is kind of like to go over some of the things we touched on yesterday, but also to answer any of the other questions that you might have, and we're going to make it as interactive as possible. I don't know if you want to introduce yourself, Patrick, very quickly.
I can go really quick on this. Hello everyone, it's so nice to see you again. Welcome. Someone knows me from the Chat with Trader Bosscast, episode 260, where I was speaking about all my trading journey, about my life. I'm 40 years old. I'm trading since 2006 professional. I'm working most of the time for investors, and I would say I'm more an institutional trader than a retail trader. Let us make it short as simple. What I doesn't trade is options, Bitcoins, and forex. All other stuffs I'm trading.
That's great. Okay, so we got a question from Scott, which is actually a very good one to start today's session, which is really, if I trade ZB and QNES, how do I prep my day? So how can I use your tool besides the levels on understanding, what to do during the day? So let's go back a little bit on the basic navigation of the server, right? So what you have here, and you guys can see my screen, we have dedicated channels for the major assets, like in this case, SPX, QQQ, but we also have stocks and ETFs, and then at the bottom here, you have futures. If you don't find the asset that you look for, you can go on the bot, and we're going to show you later how to use that, and you can look for the asset there. But let's go on an example on NVIDIA, right? So NVIDIA is releasing earnings tomorrow. QQQ is at all-time high, so everybody's like trying to understand, okay, like what's going to happen tomorrow and how can I prepare myself? And then Patrick, maybe you can share some more like insights from a trader perspective on how you would go about preparing for tomorrow. But essentially, we can start from the channel here, the NVIDIA channel. And in here, you have all the different commands that we have, which is really a series of table and data and visualization and charts that will allow you to understand the option market much easier and much quicker. So the first thing you want to do is we start from the liquidity snapshot. So the liquidity snapshot allows you to understand, first of all, very important, the gamma condition of the asset, right? So are we long option or are we short option? So is the market position more buying option or selling option? This is very important because that's going to dictate the way the dealers are going to hedge if the price moves towards a certain level and how those levels can become reaction zones. Then you want to look at volatility. So you want to understand, okay, like is volatility, implied volatility from the option market higher or lower than historical volatility? You know, volatility tends to revert to the mean. So when you're looking at different strategies, you need to understand volatility, because if you are buying option and your volatility is very high, you're going to pay a higher premium, and there's a big risk that obviously that implied volatility will go down, and therefore the premium of the option could go down as well. So you start here. So in the morning, you would have access to this data. So look at the gamma condition, positive and negative. In positive gamma, we tend to see lower volatility. In negative gamma, we tend to see higher volatility. That doesn't mean that the price is going to go up or down, but it's more like, is it going to be a volatile day or not? And then obviously look at the implied volatility measure. Then we scroll down and we look at what we call the main chart, which is really end of day prices. Here at the bottom, you have the DAX and JAX on the future expiration. So how is the JAX and DAX position at different time in the future? And then you see the main key levels, which are the core resistance, the high vol level, and the put support. And then also we show you the core resistance 0 DTE and put support 0 DTE. In the case of stocks, that would be the next weekly expiration. So in this case would be the core resistance for the Friday expiration for NVIDIA in this case. Then we want to go and look at the key levels, right? So we want to see what is one day expected max, minimum, you know, how far are we from the high vol level? The high vol level is the price that dictates the shift between positive and negative gamma. So the closer we are to that level, the closer, you know, volatility could change, right? So you want to look at that. Then you want to look at, volume, open interest, JAX, DAX, and all of that, the ratios and all of that stuff. We have documentation on all those data points on our website. We can show you where in a second. Then the next step would be, okay, so now let's plot my levels on my chart. So I can come here and I can go then on my trading view and I have access to the indicators. I can plot my levels here directly, and then I can look for NVIDIA. And now I'm going to have my levels directly into the chart here. Or I should have. Okay, sorry guys. I'm using Safari, so having some issues.
I can help out if you want. I have NVIDIA open with the levels.
Sure. Let me, yeah, maybe. But I mean, I'll share with you in a second. So sorry for that, guys. I don't know why let's see if this one works. All right, never mind. Yeah, I'll get you to share. But essentially, once we have the levels on the chart, and apologies for the technical issues, we want to understand how the market position is on NVIDIA. So we're going to go down and look at the net GAX chart, which is the net gamma exposure. We want to understand if the market is positioned more on the call side or if the market is positioned on the put side. We can also, through the bot, go and have a look at the history. So we want to understand, okay, are the market buying more calls today versus yesterday? And how is that happening? Then we can look at the different expirations. So again, this one is a very important one. This is the Friday expiration. We want to know how people are positioning themselves on this expiration because it's right after earnings. So how are people positioned? So you can see that there's a lot of protection. There's a lot of put activity for that expiration. But then if we go back to the full option chain, we see a lot of activity at the 900 levels and 950 and so on. So here you see the whole option chain. Here you see the next weekly expiration. So obviously there is concern about earnings. So a lot of participants are buying protection at these levels here. Same goes with the next one, with the next expiration here, and so on. And then you can look at volume, open interest, and there you have implied volatility and open interest. So essentially, these are like different charts that will help you then start understanding what's the positioning on that stock or that asset. And apologies, I think I was way back in the past. So let's go back to the recent data. All right. So going back to, okay, sorry. So this is the recent data. Apologies for that. So we see actually there's a lot of like call activity here and not a lot of put activity. My mistake. Let me know if that was clear, and then Patrick, I'll pass it on to you if you want to share how you would prepare yourself.
Yeah. I can say something about this. So I have learned many things about NVIDIA earnings, Tesla earnings, all from the Magnificent Seven. I was trading this live in the Chat with Traders community. I hope we can do this soon here also on MenthorQ, that we trade this live with you. And my experience is everybody have a plan until you get the punch in the face. And this is something what Mike Tyson was saying last. It's really crazy. But at the end, if you trade the earnings, the market has its own plan. So and there's only one thing what I'm really doing, and that's it. Many people thinking you have to make crazy plans and all this stuff, but it's simple and basic, and this is something what I'm doing. And let me share this with you really quick. So I was in a booth, taking out the NVIDIA levels. for 5 minutes to prepare myself. So this is the full NVIDIA chart, what we're seeing now. And as you know, every time when we have the last NVIDIA earnings, what was the market doing, or the NVIDIA stock is doing? He pushes back to crazy levels. Now we are again on 950. So the only thing what I'm doing is I map out the last high from NVIDIA and the 1-day expected move. And that's it. So for me is when I'm trading NVIDIA or the NQ, I trade the poor price action. I will see how we going. Of course, I prepare myself. My only preparing is I know based on the options volatility, where is my 1-day expected move max, where is my last high, and that's it. I do nothing more, really. That's the only thing what I'm personally doing. If you can trust me, this is the only thing. Nothing crazy, nothing wild. Because I was learning, I can repeat this. Everybody have a plan until you get the punch in the face. And I was learning going in with an open mind, with no bias. Be aware for a short, be aware for the long, and follow only the momentum. And that's it.
Yeah, that's great. Thank you, Patrick. Yeah, so yeah, apologies for that, guys. I was using old data. Sorry, I was on the old data. I think Patrick, maybe we can go into talk more about, some more stuff about the blind spot. Obviously, kind of like your approach on kind of like the blind spot. I know we talked about it yesterday, but I think given it's a new thing, would be very helpful for understand
Yeah,
what.
so I want to share with the community some little hack how you can read the market a little bit better. But this is not about blind spot, sorry. It's about a little bit other things. It's a next hack. And Fabio doesn't know what I know. Share with you. It's always also new for Fabio. So here's the point. So most of the time when we're looking to the NQ or to the ES, we're seeing the full market hours. It's like the electronic trading hours, because the futures you can trade it mostly every time. But what you can do, and this is something what I'm personally doing, is you can click on your trading view and shows the regular trading hours. If you do this, then you see the US stock market time and you get a different picture. You get not surprised that we are coming now up. This is number first. But now the hack will be coming, and this is really powerful. And this is now what we're doing with the MenthorQ Q levels. So we open the VIX because we're looking for correlation. And what we're doing with the VIX is we're going to extend the trading hours. We have here our MenthorQ levels. Here we have the GEX number 1. And what we were saying yesterday, how I'm using the blind spots or the gamma levels, it's like support and resistance. And when we look into this, let's paint this a little bit out. It's my painter here. So here's my highlighter. So we have here number 1, number 2, and number 3. So what we were seeing is every time when we came down to the GEX level 1, we get up from the VIX. Here, if we came down from the VIX and we're breaking the GEX level 1, we came down. Also today, it was the same. And here is your hack. Because if you're looking to this, when we was breaking this, it was 9:10 in the morning. And if we going to the regular trading hours and we see this is 9:30 and we connecting the past with the future, then we can have in mind that we can going upwards. And also, if we put on our levels or support and resistance, we see that we open on a crazy support and resistance area. But the hack is that we can see based on the GEX level, what we're breaking again, that we came also again down. And this is something where we can take advantage of. If we have the information and if we're connecting the dots, this is so powerful. I hope this makes sense for you. If you have some questions about this, let me know, because I want that you know this. Yes, it's extremely useful and extremely powerful.
Yeah. Thank you, Patrick. All right. Let me share my screen.
How often is VIX and futures correlated? Um, it's quite often, but I would say if you put on the gamma levels or the Q levels, then you can see if there's some strong support and resistance. And looking to the past, what was going on in the past? Was the gamma leveling in correlation with the VIX? And what I was showing you, we came down every time when we came down to the GEX level, boom, we was breaking, and we was breaking really hard. And if you see some picture like this, I will trust the VIX.
Yeah. Great. Somebody's asking about CTAs. So I think that, yeah, that's a good point. So we have within the premium section, our CTAs models, and you can find them here. They are auto-populated every day, once a day at around 6:30 a.m. Eastern time. And they take the main asset, and in this case, we have index, commodities, metals, and you can see the charts and the table here. So essentially, what the CTA model does is really understand how the CTA's funds, which is commodity trade advisor funds, are positioning themselves for major assets. So those are typically quantitative and systematic funds that tend to react on certain trends, and they tend to enter or exit the market based on different price levels. So you want to understand how the liquidity is moving. So, they are not predictive per se, meaning that, you're not going to be able to forecast where the price is going from here, but you want to understand how the market is positioning so that it's a confirmation of the trend. So if you are thinking on going long, for example, QQQ, because you believe that the earnings of tech stock are gonna go good, you also want to understand where the positioning is coming from the CTAs, because if they are on the opposite direction, then you are going against liquidity, right? So there's a lot of liquidity that's actually exiting that asset, so that could potentially play against your position. So the way you look at those is really look at the table, look at the positioning today compared to the change. You also have different percentiles number here, and then we also have additional documentation on the chart on the website. So if we go on our website under resources and guides, you will find all the different models below here. So here you have the commodity trade advisory fund models, and you will have all the explanation on all the different columns, all the different tables, and so on. But essentially, it's a confirmation of where liquidity is moving by looking at different systematic strategies. Let me know if that was clear.
Yeah, and I have a question about this, Fabio.
Yeah.
Let me speak for the community. When we're looking to this table and we see to the today change and the yesterday change, from what day is this? Is this from the day before?
It's taking the close price from yesterday. So that would be compared to the day before. So we populate this at 6:30 a.m., but the data is obviously looking at the previous day close.
Okay. So, and when we see that in the CTA main table, we have today 2.01 and the day before 2.112. So this means they reduce the positions a little bit, correct?
Exactly, yeah.
Okay, nice.
Yeah. So essentially, the way you look at this is that, you're not obviously the way you want to look at this is really a confirmation of the trend. So if the CTAs are increasing position on, SPX, for example, that's another confirmation that there is a bullish sentiment in the market. So obviously, if they reduce liquidity, then obviously they are taking away liquidity, and therefore the price, if there's a start of a downtrend, then the market could actually move faster because of all the volume that these funds tend to move. Okay. I think, Patrick, one good question that we had, I think you shared with me before, is some best practices around risk management that you got.
Yeah.
So maybe that's like a good point to start.
Yeah. Okay. So let me explain this. I was talking about this yesterday because some people asking me about the risk management and position sizing and all this stuff. So my personally number one rule is, and I think this should be everyone's rule, but it's only in friend education, not any financial advice. It's like you should have always small losses who doesn't hit you. You should be always be aware to take your losses really, really fast. I don't mean trail it tiny or something like this, but you should have it only small so that you don't work for your losses. And you should have also on your side few times a little bit higher wins and really few times really large wins. And this is how it works. And you don't need a win rate from 80%, 70%. Most of the time when I'm working for institutionals, it's like a win rate from 51%. It's perfect. This is what they want. Because if you have a win rate from 51%, this means you're cutting your losses very fast. And you bring back your losses and you make profit, consistently profit. It's the worst case is if you have a win rate for 90% or 80%, but you don't cut your losses very, very fast and you let it run, and then your full account is burned. That's the worst case. So this is my number one. And the second thing is, and this is what I was sharing today in the future session, have always the bigger picture in your mind. A little bit down, a little bit down. Down, 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 down. Oh, it's you. No, down, 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 down. Right, down, 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 down. Oh, stop. A little bit higher here. Yeah. Yeah, you can click on this. Perfect. So this is what I mean with the correlation. So if you think about taking a short or if you're taking a long, looking for the correlation, looking for the bigger picture, of course, I plot the blind spots on the Nasdaq, but this doesn't mean that I don't look to the other ones. I'm looking also for if the market is on bullish sentiment on the NQ, I'm looking for correlation on the SQQ because the SQQ tells me how big is the short pressure on the market. And if the short pressure on the market is going down, this means the market have a little bit more room to run. And the same is with the VIX. We have the VIX for the correlation with the ES or with the SPY. I'm looking always for correlation and I map out critical areas. And if we came to these areas, I will see how the market will react on this. And if I get a clear direction, like the break from today, boom, then you can take it based on what I tell you before.
Mm-hmm.
And that's it.
Yeah. I think we have a couple of other questions. So one from Hero. What are the levels that Patrick uses? If you look at the futures trading chat, I think, Patrick, you post them almost every day.
Yeah.
They're posted here. So these are like the levels that, Patrick uses with the ratio. So you can plot these directly using the indicator, using the same ratio, using the same level. So the reason why Patrick is, you see a lot of NDX here is because of the way the indicator is currently built. So right now you can only plot data on ES and NQ. And to do that, you need to have the NDX and SPX ticker, right? So if you wanted to plot levels on SPX or sorry, on ES, you would have to have the SPX ticker, even if you want to plot the SPY, for example. And if you wanted to plot levels on NQ, you would need to use the NDX ticker. But we are changing that. So in the next few weeks, we're going to have a new indicator that will allow you to have this much easier. So, stay tuned on that. But, this is what Patrick is doing. So he's converting the SPX levels to NQ, and he's using this ratio so you can actually plot these levels on a chart. And he does the same for SPY, for NDX, and for QQQ. And then there was a question, Patrick, on how did you plot the blind spot on SQQQ?
Okay, so I don't plot blind spots on SQQ. I'm using the normal one. So for this reason, I go to the boot, and then I go on the level list, and I tip on SQQQ, and the boot giving me the levels. And also for the wicks, I don't have blind spots on the wicks. I have only my blind spots on the NQ. This is my main chart. The other ones I'm using for correlation. But there I have no blind spots. It's only on the NQ.
Yeah. So then we have a question on the momentum indicator. That's a good question, actually. So again, we built basically not only the levels, but we also built a momentum indicator, which is purely based on technical analysis. And you can find this here. You will have access to within the premium section to the link. And let me show you what that does very quickly. Right. So the momentum indicator essentially is really translating kind of like our approach to technical analysis, where we use very few tools. The fewer kind of like sometimes is better. So we have integrated 3 tools in one, which is support resistance, Fibonacci retracement levels, and volume profile. So when you open the momentum indicator, automatically you will have certain support and resistance level drawn for you in the chart. And this will change based on your time frame, based on the passage of time. So this would be automatically. Within the settings, you have the ability to remove or add an indicator. So if you don't want to see support and resistance, you can remove that. Or if you don't want to see Fibonacci level, you can remove that. And also you can go down and you can actually show the volume profile here and then add that to the chart. So very simple. It's a very nice indicator that has 3 tools into one. Again, another addition to your kind of like arsenal, and you can use it and you can access that.
Yeah. So the Fibonacci is very, very helpful also for entries and exits. So yeah, and especially when we're trading the people was asking me about the handshake strategy, also about entries and exits. So when you have to enter, when you have to exit. So what I'm doing on my side, it's when we have the big gap from some handshakes, maybe the NDX call resistance UDT and the SPX call resistance UDT, for example. And then what I'm doing, I'm using my Fibonacci from the top of the one level to down to the other level. And then I'm looking for good entries and exit based on the Fibonacci theory where I enter, and that's it. I don't enter directly on the level. So this is why the Fibonacci came into play to plot the Fibonacci in the gap between the 2 levels, and then based on the Fibonacci, taking my positions or I'm going out.
Nice. Yeah, that's another tool to use. Other questions?
Yeah, we have a question. I'm always curious how Warner affect movement when we approach a big Warner strike. Maybe you can say something about this, about the Warner and all this other stuff.
Yeah, so I think we there's a lot of talks about Vana and Charm and all of those Greeks, and we are working on models. So we are working on building Vana and Charm models. So yeah, right now, basically, we don't really have a Vanda model per se, but we are looking into building one. So again, we are looking right now at Gamma and Delta, mostly and Theta, of course, but we are working on a Vanda model as well.
All right. The next question came from Simon. He's very hot about this. Can we talk about how to use the scanners? Or maybe what is good practice to use the scanner? Also, when do you anticipate to have afternoon levels available? Thank you.
Yeah, so let's go through the scanners. So the scanners are available through our website. So once you log into your account, you will have access to the option screeners. And by clicking here, you now have 3 types of screeners, but we're going to add more to this. So the first one is really gamma levels. So this kind of like goes into the ability of being alerted when certain stocks reach an important gamma level. Like for example, Patrick trades a lot of those levels, like the put support, the core resistance. So as an idea generation tool, you want to know maybe like, hey, what could be a play tomorrow morning? Or when you wake up in the morning, you want to see, okay, like before the market opens, what are certain stocks that might reach a very important level, right? So we have the main level here. So we have put support, core resistance, high vol level, core resistance, and put support. So if we click here, for example, we're going to get a list of stocks that based on the close from yesterday, well, today is we're going to have new data coming in very soon. But essentially for the next day, what are the companies or assets or ETF that are approaching or are very close to the core resistance level? Again, why is that important? Because the core resistance can be either a resistance zone where people close their hedges and the market tends to retrace, or it could be like an inflection point. So you want to monitor those companies to potentially define a strategy for that day. So here we have some interesting names. We have, IBM, CVS, but we can also do the same thing on all the other levels. So for example, we can do the opposite. Let's say that we want to, for example, see companies that are approaching the put support level, in this case, Pepsi or Walmart, right? So again, you know that they're approaching this level. Is there going to be a bounce of this level, or is it going to be an inflection point? So this is kind of like how we use it and how to plan it for the next day. The other one that is very relevant is the IVOL level screener. We know that obviously as the price approaches the IVOL level, there's going to be potentially an increase or decrease in volatility. Like for example, Tesla today, we saw a big bounce there. And that could become like a very interesting screener to have. So you have a list of companies that are approaching that level at the end of the day. Then we have volatility screeners. So in this case, you want to use those to understand what strategy you want to put on. So for example, you want to look for high volatility stocks because maybe you want to sell premium, right? So you want to look for companies that might have very high implied volatility and that therefore could give you like some nice premium. So here you have a screener on that side. Maybe you want to do the opposite, where it's more like, buying options. And then you want to see what are the cheap companies that I can scan for. And then you can use a low IV rank screener. So in this case, we have eBay or Norwegian Cruise Lines, for example. But in the next few weeks and months, we're going to introduce more advanced screeners like, gamma expiration screeners and like Delta and all of that stuff. So we're going to keep you posted on that. We're also going to run some screeners on volatility surface models. So showing how the volatility surface for a company has changed, that can dictate the type of strategy that you might want to imply for the day.
Okay, we have to question what time every day the screeners list gets updated.
Yeah, the screener typically gets updated in the evening at around 9 p.m., 9:30 p.m. Eastern time. So the way it works is we run the models at the end of the day. Once the models are calculated, then the screener will run and will give you the list of companies that are matching the new levels that are posted. So yeah, around 9 p.m., 9:30.
And also are futures incorporated into the scanners?
They are not yet, but they will be, yes, for sure. Yeah. And then they're based on the close, yes. In terms of, I think there was a question about can we have afternoon levels? We are actively working on intraday data, so the answer is yes. We're going to have intraday levels throughout the day in the next couple of months. So yeah, stay tuned because that's going to be very, very interesting. Any plans to bring these levels to software other than TradingView? Yes, we are actively working with NinjaTrader and we are exploring additional partnership.
Nice.
Yeah, so that's going to be very interesting.
And also, we have some question from the free community, Fabio. Someone asking us a question. I think we can answer this. Yeah, it's hi Fabio, hi Patrick. At first, thanks for your work. Okay, thank you very much.
Yeah.
Why did your levels differ on your last post? Patrick posted NQ with totally different. I know he's blind spotting levels than you did with your high wall. What differs the MenthorQ future levels? The free one, again, thanks much. I will continue diving into your content and looking forward for a subscription. Thanks for the question. Yeah, Fabio, it's your part.
Yeah, I mean, let me actually read it. I think, yeah, the answer is well, the future level. So, well, the difference is basically there's a big difference. So, on the free service, you have access to 3 assets, which are SPX, QQQ, and VIX. This is looking at the option chain of the underlying assets, so the index and the ETFs, right? With the futures level, we're actually using the option chain of the future. So in this case, we're using the option chain of ES or NQ or CL or GC. So obviously, although the assets are very correlated, so obviously ES and SPX are very correlated, they have different option chains, and therefore they have different, gamma exposure, different activity on the options. So we are taking both. So now with the premium membership, you can actually access the futures data, you can access the spot data, you can also do the conversion, like the blind spot, what Patrick is doing. So now you have very greater flexibility of understanding what are the levels that work best for you. And there's not like a right answer. Everybody is asking us, are the futures level better? Are the SPX level better? And the answer is really now you have both of them available to you, so you can actually combine them and use them, and you have better tools because you have 2 different data points that you can leverage on the chart.
Exactly, that's the point, Fabio. I always curious when people asking why you have not the NQ on your charts, Patrick. Why you have only NDX on your chart? At the end, we have the full power. We can use everything. We can look what is matching at the moment at best. This is maybe the NQ, or is this the NDX, or is this the QQQ? What else? And this is the great power what we have at the moment. And we can be so thank you. So everyone can looking for what's working for each one and each trading style. It's so great.
Yeah. Then we have a good question from Shoin about the top 10 negative and positive jacks chart. So you can find this here. So if we scroll towards the bottom, these are the top 10 positive jacks and top 10 negative jacks. So what you see here is very important because we are showing you the strikes with the top highest jacks on different expirations. So in this case, for example, 5,200 is a very important strike price for the May expiration. And then you have 5,350 is a very important strike price for the June expiration. So essentially here you want to monitor those levels because again, even if you're trading 0 DTEs, you might want to monitor what could be in play on different expiration in the future. You can also use the matrix. So the matrix is really a really nice table that will help you understand how much gamma is expiring at any expiration in the future. So this is obviously The OPEX one from, this is an old data actually. Sorry guys, I keep using old data. Let me just scroll all the way down. All right. So within the matrix, what you have here is this column, which is called JAX normalized and DEX normalized. Then obviously you have the open interest and volume. But essentially what you want to monitor is how much gamma exposure is expiring at any of the expiration in the future, because obviously that's going to have an impact on the potential price movement and the market reaction zones for that expiration. Then you have the levels for every expiration. So if you are trading like a one week in the future or 2 weeks in the future, you can now look at the different levels for that expiration. And then I think not a lot of users use this column, but I think it's very valuable because similar to what we do with the 1 day expected move, you can look at this expected move for the expiration. So apologies for the label, this is going to change. But basically, if we look at the June 4th, you can expect the price of the SPX in this case to move 112 points above or below the strike, based on forward-looking volatility, based on the model. So obviously it's using the same approach, leveraging the option data. So again, based on your strategy, you can use this information to understand where can the price go, how much can I risk, how much can I make, and what are my levels for that time frame. All right, so we have another question from Simon. How do I read the chart with the JAX profile? The yellow line, SPY, let's see. Okay, so let's go here, scroll all the way down to the bottom. So I think Simon is referring to these yellow lines. So this is the gamma profile for all, in this case, all expiration. So we do the same for single expiration. So here you have the gamma curve here for that expiration. But if we look at the main one, is really looking at the full option chain all the way in the future, plotting the gamma profile and showing you how it appears at different strike prices. And again, the important level here is really the high vol level, which is the level where the gamma profile shift. So if you see here, this is highlighted in purple. This is also where the curve turns from positive to negative. So that's like when there is a shift in positive or negative gamma. If you want to learn more about it, we have a lot of information on the website under guides. One good article to read is the free daily report explained. We explain all the different fields that we have, but we also have a lot of really interesting information here about delta hedging and gamma.
Yeah, and then we have another blind spot question: how we can plot USO levels on CL charts?
Yeah, I mean, right now, basically what you would have to do is really convert those in Excel. So you would have to take the user levels, convert them to CL price levels, and then plot them on CL chart using the CL ticker. But Jordan, we are working on an indicator that will do that for you. So if you want to do that now, you can do it manually in Excel. But if you want to wait, then we're going to have a solution very soon. So yeah, hopefully that answers.
It's all about the ratio, Jordan.
Yeah, so right now you can only plot levels on RTY, YM, ES, and NQ. So that's how the indicator works right now. Okay. Anyway, we can change the label on the SPY levels on the yes chart, similar to what Patrick is manually doing. Not right now, meaning that you would have to change the text input that you are using, but in the future with the new indicator, you will have a similar way that Patrick does, where you're going to have, the different labels, and you'll be able to actually also untick labels that you don't want to see. So it's going to help you be more clear on the chart. So you can only visualize the levels that you want to see. Barry, yes. Just send me a message, no problem. So Barry is asking, would you walk through one of your favorite insights or strategy that you use the tool for? So I think there's different ways of using the tool. Like I think first we have different trading rooms. And the reason why we started the trading rooms is because we realize obviously the importance of different strategies right now using options. So one way of using the data is to do what the doc and the team does, which is really using spread strategies, so iron condor or credit spreads. So that's a really good way of using the data. So understanding where the levels are, understanding where you could potentially get premium, and obviously look at what the guys do every morning, because they provide a very, very detailed analysis of the levels that they look at. So obviously that's one way of using it, right? And the reason why you do that is because you're using data as a weapon. So you are using the decay of time as a potential, weapon for you to make money or to be profitable. Another way is what Patrick does, so trade directionally, right? So use the level to kind of like do directional trades, and whether it's on the underlying, whether it's the stock, whether it's the ETF, whether it's the future, those levels tend to be market reaction zones. So I would, those would be the main kind of like use cases, I would say. Do you agree, Patrick? Or
yeah, of course. And I think at the end it's everyone. So and this is something what I share with all the people outside. Everyone have a different trading style, and if you be becoming a little bit consistently with your trading style, or you be consistently with your trading style, then you do at the moment a really great job. So, and you have now the opportunity in the trading rooms, what we offer with MenthorQ for you, to see how other traders doing his jobs, and maybe find out some golden nuggets. And maybe you can add only a small puzzle to your strategy. So I get from other really good traders who are in our communities, who are also full-time traders, say working with volume profile and all the stuff. And they tell me, hey, Patrick, I'm using now your blind spot strategy because this makes extremely sense for my strategy and it works very well. And also Doc have really great strategy. For this reason, pick the golden nuggets from the trader where you like, or where you get confirmed with, and put this to your strategy, because every trader is individual.
Yeah, and I think another, if I can go back to my experience, right? So I used to work at Bloomberg, and I used to sell data to large quantitative funds, right? So I'm talking about the biggest quant fund in the world. They use data to help them get an edge on anything that could affect the price of a stock, whether it's sentiment data, whether it's social media, whether it's, like anything from geolocation data that could tell me, how many people are driving to Macy's today and in the past month, and why has the traffic decreased? So that's going to impact, the price or the revenue that, a company like Macy's might have, right? So they use big data to their advantage, right? So what we're trying to do here is like trying to give you information coming from the option data, which is obviously one of the models, but then we have other models like CTAs, to add an additional layer of protection to your strategy. So we wrote like a really nice blog here that you can find under our case studies here. So how do you trade NVIDIA using, Q levels? And I referenced this example in many podcasts that we have been invited to last week or so. But essentially, if you use simple technical analysis, and there's nothing wrong with it, you don't have the full picture of what could happen around you. So if you look at this chart in this example of NVIDIA, we're coming from a very bullish trend. The price almost hit, that was like March 2024. The price almost went to $1,000, and now you have a pullback, right? So you have a chart like this. So now if you overlay your technical indicators, now suddenly you might think of going long this stock because the RSI, the support is there. So that could be a good, entry point. But in reality, obviously the market drops. And then what if you could then overlay information coming from the option data, where there's a lot of put protection at these levels, and then the market tends to drop there. And then again, what if you then could add the levels, right? So now you're not only using technical analysis, you're now adding the levels, and you're adding that put support level that we see here. So that massive amount of puts at that level, right? So obviously that is a reaction zone. So then what happens next? Then the price bounces off that level, and then where do you go next? So then you use additional level like the eyeball level or the one-day expected move. And then let's say that you want to stay in the trade for the next day, and you can refresh the levels, and therefore the levels, there's a break above, the gamma wall there. We're moving toward the one-day max. So now what do you do, right? And again, we have statistic, we have backtesting exercise. So the price of NVIDIA, based on the history that we have, which is about 200 days, stays below the one-day max on 90% of the time, right? So now if you are here, would you still keep, your position? Would you manage it? How would you play that? So then we see that there is then a drop, so a pullback from that level, and therefore, again, that's a good tool that you can have to manage your risk. So again, an additional layer of protection on top of what you're already using. So you don't have to change your strategy. You can just like add additional layers so that you can be more profitable potentially.
And you were saying this, as you were saying about what you was doing on Bloomberg, and you deliver the data for the fund. And this is the same what we get now. So we get data, but the question is how we use the data, how we put this in our trading strategy, how this is fit with our trading strategy. And last but not least, how we can make the most profit from the data. Yeah. And this is something what you should be find out on yourself.
Yeah. Yeah, and essentially the idea behind it is that obviously option data is becoming more and more important, and is sometimes responsible for the price action on an asset, right? So, we've seen it in many cases, like the GameStop example, we've seen it with SPX. So again, having access to that data and those layer of protection, and then simplified in a way that you can quickly have it on a chart, that can help you really understand, okay, like maybe I shouldn't go long here, maybe I should stop myself and manage my risk.
100%.
Yeah, and just to answer your question, Pacos, I just replied, but the indicator, the momentum indicator, is under the TradingView channel here. So here you would have the link. So simply add it to your favorite, and then you can access it directly on TradingView.
And I have also some questions. When we have at the moment no questions from the community, what are the most 5 support questions what you receive, and you can answer maybe now to the people, so that they have not to make any support ticket anymore.
Yeah, I mean, one of the typical questions that we get is the TradingView level don't work on TradingView, and the reason could be cache issues. So clear your cache, remove the indicator, add it back. Another question that we get a lot is how to calculate the ratio. So there's sometimes a lot of confusion on the ratio. Sometimes you have a different ratio than others, so the levels.
Sorry for this.
So the levels do not match. So essentially, what you have here is really a mathematical formula, right? So we're not doing anything crazy. we allow you to plot the levels from SPX or SPY to ES using a mathematical formula. And the mathematical formula is really absolute value, which is the spread, meaning future minus underlying, and the ratio is the future divided by the underlying. So by having that, you can then customize the value. You know, obviously the market changes, the future would move differently throughout the expiration. So essentially, this is like a user input, right? So you manage the input. But how can you quickly get the data, right? So how can you quickly get the ratio? So we have different ways. First, you can calculate it in Excel. You can calculate it manually. You can take the end of the price of the future and the asset and calculate, or you can create custom formulas here, like I did here on the ratios and the spread. So here I always have up to date, you know, real time, my spread. So ES minus SPX, my ratio ES divided by SPX. There is one limitation of TradingView. Here you can only see 2 decimals. So I would always use the decimal here. To change the number of decimal, go on your settings, click on symbol, and then under precision, select how many decimals you want. And then don't use this because that only has 2. Use the closing price here, which has 4 or 5 or 6, so that you can then use to upload the ratio here. To create a custom security in TradingView, very simple. I can simply go here and type yes, which is my future. And then I can then go here and divide this by SPX. And then I can add it to my watch list here too. So I can actually create the formula directly to here. So again, this is very simple way you can save them on your chart here. And then every time you want to change it, you can always update it here. So this is a very typical question that we get.
Yeah, very nice, very nice. And what I can say to you is, I think Fabio is really, really active in the Discord. And if you see this, I have sometimes the feeling you work 24 hours, Fabio. So if you have any questions and you can tag Fabio at any time, and you can be sure that you get really quick and some answers. And also feel absolutely free if you have some problems, or you have some personal questions with the blind spot or with the handshake strategy, send me a message. Maybe I don't answer directly to you. I will answer this lately when we have the next Q&A sessions. I bring it on the next Zoom call, and then we can talk about this.
Yeah.
And we are really helpful about this.
We have a very good question from John. So yesterday we demonstrate how to use the bot. And we have some historical data available here. So if you look at the channels here, in order to see historical data, obviously you have to scroll back to the history, but through the bot, you can actually have data directly here. So what I did here is I typed the command for the net gamma exposure chart, and then I used any stock. I can use QQQ. And now you see the chart appears, and you have some back arrow and forward arrows. So what this does, it allows you to go back in time for up to 5 days so that you can quickly understand how the market has changed or how the positioning have changed coming from the option market from today to yesterday to 5 days in the past and so on. So for example, if you look at NVIDIA, this is actually a good example. We can type in stock. We can look at the positioning today. We can see how this has changed from yesterday. You can also look at how the levels have changed. Have the core resistance moved up or down? Has the put support moved up or down? So obviously that can dictate the sentiment in the stock. So you can go back and you can see that, for example, 3 days ago, the core resistance was at 950, and then it went up to 1,000. And I think now we're back at 1,000 as well. So again, people have been rolling position to the 1,000 marks in, ahead of earnings. So obviously that can tell you a little bit of the sentiment on the stock. And you can do the same on all the other tools as well. So if I look at the metrics, For example, I can also go back in time. I can open the chart. I can look at the data for yesterday. I can go back in time, and see how things have changed.
Yeah. And I have, that's the, I love this question, champ. Patrick, why do you use white light charts? My question is why not? So, there's no right and there's no wrong. Sorry, champ. I have no answer about this. So the only question is why I should not use this. Um, by my eyes, yeah, it's yeah, I like it. Sometimes I like this, sometimes I like this. So you must know I'm living in Dubai, and when the sun is going really crazy on my monitor, then it's sometimes it's really hard to read. And the next, Patrick, are your static ratios based on historical averages, or how often do you update them? I don't update this as long my support and resistance is valid. So I think the last 2 days or this week, I was starting to not post only the ratio, the levels with the ratio on the future channel. I also posted the single blind spot so that you can see that the support and resistance is valid. And this is something what I'm looking for. I'm looking always in the past if the support and resistance is valid. As long the support and resistance make sense for me, I have no reason to change the ratios. And yeah, that's it.
Right. So we have a nice question from Barry, and Barry, you should refer this to Doc in the chat. So based on your insight, is it better to sell Iron Condor Premium outside of expected move parameters right before the market open at 8 a.m. or right after the open? So first of all, you can, so if you look at SPX options, they don't trade outside, market open. So you would get the fill at 9:30. If you're using futures options, then yes, that's 24/5. So you can use the yes options. What the traders tend to do, they tend to put in the order before the market opens and wait for the fill at the open. And the reason is that there's typically more volatility at the open, and they typically tend to get better fills. So the goal is really not to go after a trade, but to make sure that you get the fill that you want before the market. So the way it works in the trading rooms, if we look at the trade structuring room managed by Doc, they would look at pre-market analysis. So they would look at the different levels, they would look at the different charts, and then they would come up with the strike prices that they think will not get hit for the day. And then they will come up with, the premium that they are looking to get for those strike based on the level of risk. So based on that, they would then plan, the order before the market and, hope to get filled, and then they can adjust that when the market opens. So, okay, so futures, yes. So, yeah, we haven't done a lot of Iron Condor on futures yet. We have done it on SPX. So, yeah, it's always been at the after the open.
Yeah, nice. And I see something, Fabio. Can you go very quick to the query boat, please?
Mm-hmm.
And this is a really good example. We have here Earl and how he typed in the key levels. Can you give Earl now a really nice example how to use the query boat on the right way?
Yeah, sure. So yeah, that's another thing that we get a lot of questions. So sometimes we get, you see all these messages, and these are like queries that were not successful because, some users might copy paste a command and type it in, but the way you query the bot is really activate the bot first thing by typing the / command. So that is the activation of the bot. And then you're going to have the ability to type in keywords, right? So first, if you don't know which commands to type, you can type in the word help, press enter, and that's going to give you all the list of commands that you have available throughout the bot. So I think we have over 60 commands. If you don't know the help function, we also have a nice document on the website, which is the Discord AI bot commands here. So here you will have first a video on how to use it, then you have all the commands, and then we go into details about, what is the command, main chart, key levels, and so on. Then you basically type in a keyword. So if I type in levels, then I have a series of options. So the autocomplete is going to give you a list of options that you can use for. So let's say I want to use the key levels on NVIDIA. I can click on key levels and you see the ticker box appearing. So now I can type in a ticker. So then that's going to populate. If I just copy paste the levels, then if I just copy paste a string, that might not activate the bot correctly. If I then want to have, for example, levels for a list of company, we have a list command here. So I can click on the list command and then I can type in my tickers separated by comma, and then type in, and then these are the levels. So yeah, very, very nice and easy. I know it can be overwhelming, but the key is really / activate the bot, type in a keyword for the command that you are looking for, or scroll down here and see the different commands available, and then type in the ticker. Good question, Patrick.
Yeah, I was seeing this, so I see this so often, and now we get it live, so I like it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Any questions, Shem? So I think we have a few minutes left, so let us know.
Yeah.
Bring it on the table. There's no stupid question, no damn question. Put it in, and we will answer this.
And then we have another session on Thursday. So again, if you come up with questions that you want to get answered, please send it to us on Discord. Send it to me, or send it in the support channel, and then we'll make sure we address that. All right. Give one last minute for everyone to. Great. Thank you, guys. Same subject. Okay. Actually, the one question, there's a good question from Barry, and thank you so much. For futures, another question that we get asked is like, what tickers do I use for futures, right? So futures, as we know from TradingView, they have either the generic or continuous future, which is the ES1 ticker, or they have the monthly ticker. So like if I'm looking for the June contract, I can use the ESM 2024. But if I don't want to change that and I want to save that to a watch list, I want the platform to do the rolling for me, right? So I would have ES1. So if I go on, for example, if I go on my chart here, I would always have NQ1 and ES1 at some point here, so that I don't have to do the rolling myself. So I just want to know the price of the futures. It doesn't matter what the contract is. I want the platform to do the rolling for us. We do the same for within the bot, but there is a little bit of a difference between the future price and what you see in the option price. So when you come in the bot, you have the ability to request the level using the same ticker code that we have on TradingView. So I can use the ES1 ticker, and therefore I will have the data. But sometimes it can be that if I do the same, for example, for metals, like silver in this case, then you don't get data, right? And you might think, okay, why is that? And the reason is it's kind of simple. Some futures, especially those that have monthly expirations, like metals or energy, not necessarily will have option chain for the future that you see on TradingView. So not necessarily we will have an option chain or option data for that future. So you might need to go in the next future in the future. So for example, in the case of silver, we can look at the SI ticker. And we see that right now the SI1 is the May future. So we have no data for that. So maybe we can start looking at the June future or July future. So we can go now in the bot and use the actual ticker. So we can, for example, do NetJax, and then we do SIN 2024. And now the data appears, right? So now you have data on this contract. And the reason is simply that we rely on option data to be able to provide this data for you on the different futures. I hope that's clear. Great. Awesome. Great. Thank you, guys. So I think, yeah, again, we have one more session Thursday. And again, we are here on Discord every day. So anything, you can reach us, no problem. Thank you guys for joining. Thank you for being part of the community. And, again, thank you, Patrick. I know it's very late for you.
No problem.
Always a pleasure to have you on the on the chat.
Thank you, everyone. And yeah, we see us very soon. Have a
Thank you.
nice day.
Bye-bye.
Bye.